So good morning and welcome to our 45-minute yoga flow. As stated, we are going to start seated. I think a blanket is really helpful when you're taking a seated posture. You can have it in your tri-fold, or you can give yourself one more additional fold. The tip of your tail is going to sit right on that folded edge of the blanket. That gives you a little bit more space for your knees to kind of fall outward. And when you do that, it makes you really intentional about sitting up tall. So added to our November calendar this month on Fridays, every other Friday, and then one Saturday a month, Rosemary is going to be leading us through kind of an introductory meditation class. It's 45 minutes where you'll get to try a couple different styles of meditation within that 45 minutes and a little gentle movement. And I encourage you to take it because it's a great way to get more comfortable with your seat on the floor too. That'll be something she'll be focusing on, is how to build a good seat. So take your time here to sit up tall. Check in with your breath, close your eyes. And just find yourself easy here. Hands may be flipped towards the ceiling or resting on the belly or the thighs. Heart is slightly lifted. Chin is up and away from the chest. We want to remind ourselves that we don't want to wear the chin like a necklace. So go ahead and lift it up. And start to make some inner connection with that breath. Soften the muscles of your face. Lengthen through the crown of your head. And just breathe. Today I'm going to open with a reading because I think it's a good one to start or kind of put a little meaning behind our practice. Today's is entitled, Yoga is not only about stretching. Yoga is not only about stretching your muscles, but also about the residue of awareness that comes afterward. The pose is not the yoga. Yoga is the inner state the pose creates. Pay more attention today to the state that is created by your poses. Pay more attention today to the state that is created by your poses. Starting to make a little bit of connection with some movement and breath. Maybe your head starts to fall easy right and left. Exhaling as the ear falls towards shoulder. Inhaling as the head comes up over spine. Exhaling as the ear falls towards shoulder. And inhaling as it comes up over spine. Just a few more. Take your time. The next time the head falls to the right, let's go ahead and leave it there. Left hand's going to reach out to the side, option to bring right hand up to the top of the head. Now, instead of touching these fingers down and letting them be really static on the earth, this arm that's out to the side, we're just going to take it in a small circle. One direction, and then the other. I don't know about you, but the current climate of things in the world right now has me holding a lot of tension in the neck, in the shoulders, in the low back, in the hips. That's where our focus is going to be today. When you feel ready, let that hand soften, bring it back to lap, head comes back up over your shoulders or over your spine, and then just take a big shoulder roll. Let's go the other way. Head starts to fall to the left, right arm reaches out to the side, and start kind of painting or drawing those same circles again. They can be real small or a little bit bigger. Trying our best not to hunch the shoulders forward, keep the spine nice and tall. And if you find kind of like a sweet spot, a spot where it just feels really nice to stretch, you can stay in that space. All right, my friends, head comes back up over spine, arms reach out to the side, big shoulder roll again. Exhale to drop those down. Hands move to the front of the knees, flexion, breath. Belly comes through the middle on your inhale. Round your back, round your spine on your exhale. Just take a few of these. Again, paying attention to what feels a little tense in the body, making some quiet observations about where you want to put some focus today. Last one. Hands inhale to reach up towards the sky. Exhale, breath, right hand falls towards earth. Reach up and over with the left arm. Inhale, bring this back up nice and tall. Take your time. Let's go the other way. Back up nice and tall. Big exhale. Hands fall down towards the heart. Inhale to lace. Exhale to press. You know what to do. Just give this a little tip. Side body says yes, thank you. Giving it a little attention. Some time to open. Big breath, brings hands up overhead, and then we soften at the elbows and tip again. Back to center, exhale. A left hand reaches forward, right hand taps back. Inhale, hands go up. Switch. Inhale up. Exhale, hinge and fold right over your lap. Hands reach out long in front. Beautiful. Hands slide back towards you. Come up to that tall spine, big shoulder roll like you did before. And then we're going to move to hands and knees. We're ready for table. So if you've had that blanket, of course, if you have sensitive knees, you can take it again to the mat and put your knees on it. If you don't feel like you need that, maybe just put it towards what will be the back of your mat for later. Hands going right underneath those shoulders, knees under hips. Same cat-cow movement we took before in our seated flexion spine, just to continue to wake up that spine. 2 more. Really be intentional with the way you're breathing here. Make sure it's connecting everything right where we want it. Next time you hit that cat spine, sit the hips back on your heels, take your child's pose. Maybe an active child's pose, since this is a flow class, fingers touching, palms lifted, walk hands towards the left edge of the mat first, perhaps sit towards that right hip, and then hands walk back to center, send them over to the other side of the mat. Back to center. And then we're back up to table. Right foot extends long behind. Flex that right foot, toes are down towards the earth. Inhale, breath here. Exhale, breath, toes tap. Inhale, lift. Exhale, tap. Inhale, lift. Exhale, tap. That glute is nice and tight. Inhale, lift. Exhale, tap. Bring it back to that long leg. Bend at the knee. Flex the foot towards the ceiling and pulse. Waking up that muscle space between where the thigh and the glute meet. Sometimes called the foot. Your thigh and your butt. One more good pulse there. Beautiful. Leg reaches long, and then let it step to the opposite side of your mat. You're kind of crisscrossing over. Look over that opposite shoulder. So my right foot is going towards the left edge of my mat, and I'm looking over my left shoulder. Beautiful. Bring that right foot back to the middle of the mat. Half down dog. Toes curl under on both feet. Right leg stays long as I barely lift this left knee up off the earth, and I push through that right heel. Beautiful. Drop this down. Switch legs. Left leg goes long. Toes flex down towards earth, tap, and lift. So similar to what you did before, you're continuing to breathe. You're pushing through that heel. You're building lots of strength in the hamstring, the quad, the glute. Last one. All right, let that knee bend, flexed foot, and go straight into that little bit of pulse. You'll notice that my low back isn't taking a big sway. I'm really trying to be small and intentional with the muscle space at the thigh and the glute. Perfect. Leg goes long and then starts to step over to the opposite edge of the mat. Look over that right shoulder, stretch that outer edge of the left hip. Back to the center of mat, toes curl under, half down dog again. Opposite leg this time is long, noticing that the spine is trying its best to get long as the hips point up. Perfect. Take your time, both knees down to ground, hips sit back on heels, child's pose. Flip the hands so that the palms face up. Get a nice good stretch over those wrists. One more breath here. Beautiful. Drop the hands onto the mat. Drop the elbows onto the mat. Walk the feet back long and give yourself a little forearm plank. So this is for abdominal strength right away. Elbows are underneath shoulders, hands are pointed out, gaze is towards your thumbs. If you need to drop your knees, no shame, no problem. Take the space that you need. One more breath. Beautiful. From this shape, lift hips up, dolphin. So your feet probably walk forward just a little bit. It's a full down dog, but your forearms are on the ground. Beautiful. Knees drop into earth, sit back onto hips. Hands take prayer, and we tuck them behind the head. Give those shoulders a little space. That was a little preview. We'll play with that plank a little later in class, but nice work to just pop it in there. Perfect. Bring yourself back up to table. Let's find a down dog. Just a traditional full version. Hips lifted up. We'll walk it out. And then when you're ready, small steps with your feet. Take your time. Walk them up towards your hands. Hang in that same forward fold. Head is draped down towards the earth. Knees might even be bent. Head has space. And then when you're ready, half lift, long spine, hands towards those shins. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reach. Take the hands up tall. Exhale, arms come out. Inhale, reach. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reach all the way up. Exhale, cactus. Hands come in and find your heart. Step back with your left foot. So stepping back with a different foot than usual. First, left heel hits the ground. My hands are still at my heart. I'm looking for a warrior one. So got a slight turn out of those back toes. As I inhale, I'm going to drive these hands up and see if I can straighten that front knee. Exhale, sink. Up and back down. One more. Up and back down. Hands at heart, spin up on these back toes. Take the hands to the outer edge of that front knee. Not a huge twist, just a little spinal opener here. Inhale, hands back to heart. Exhale, send it down. Take that down dog. Step front foot to the back. Hips are lifted high. Walk it out. From this down dog, knees drop, forearms drop. Put the shoulders and those elbows in a nice straight line. Hands straight down the back, or hands straight up the mat. And lift your knees up off the ground, push through your heels, maybe walk those feet back just a little bit so that you can slightly drop that belly, put it back into a forearm plank and hold. 3, 2, 1. Beautiful. Knees drop down, elbows stay on the earth. Take that hip, or hips rather, back towards your heels. Elbows bend, prayer hands hide behind the head. 3 breaths. Hands look back down for the earth. Hips lift up, traditional down dog. Walk it out. Left foot's going to lift to the side. We're going to try to step that left foot all the way through towards your left thumb. Maybe you have to help it. Spin that right heel down into the ground. Bring yourself up. Warrior one, other side, hands at the heart. Now thinking about your stance, maybe widening your feet a little bit like railroad tracks. Hands at the heart. Inhale, breath. Exhale down. Just continue to breathe, whatever pattern of breath makes the most sense to you. As you play with opening up that back hip flexor, getting a little bit of dynamic movement, really playing with balance. Next time the hands are down at the heart, keep them there. Spin up onto those toes, and then take that same twist. So it doesn't have to be real big, just aiming for the outer edge of that knee. You're going to get a chance to do this again and twist a little deeper. In just a moment, hands come back to heart. Cartwheel this down. Front foot steps back, downward facing dog. Walk it out. One more final forearm plank. Knees drop, elbows drop. Set yourself in a good plank position. Now if you're going to modify, just walk the knees back a little bit further. Give yourself something to work towards. Otherwise, pop those knees up off the ground. Think about pulling through your upper back, but allowing your hips to drop. So I've got kind of a cat spine at the upper part and a big shake in my abdominals. One more big breath. Feel strong. Knees drop, elbows bend. That same child's pose to allow the upper back and the triceps to get a little space. Catch the breath. Beautiful, hands drop down. Downward facing dog again. Walk it out. All right, this time you get a chance to lift the right foot up. That right foot's going to step all the way through to right thumb. Keep the left toes on the ground. Bring yourself up for another big crescent. Relax those shoulders. We're going to take this right into another twist. Maybe this time you aim to bring the elbow just on the outside. If that's too big, this knee can drop to the ground always. Maybe you even choose to fly a little bit or tuck this arm behind. Get yourself a little more bind. See where you are. Perfect. Let those hands bring you back to center. And then this time we're going to spin on the foot to open it to a full warrior two. So that means my front foot, toes are pointed up the mat. Back foot parallel with the back of my mat, and my arms are in a nice T. Shoulders are relaxed down from ears. Okay, take just a quick look at your own form. Part of the trickiness of this virtual yoga is that I can't always see you, so make sure heel is in line with instep. You're going to take this right hand, flip it, lean away. Back to your warrior two, and then think about elbow towards that knee, top arm comes across. Look where my fingers are pointing, down towards the ground. Yours should be as well. Reach through those fingertips. One more time through that same warrior dance, exhaling when you lean away. Inhaling when you come back and over. Maybe find an exhale when you sink into that full side angle. Beautiful. Back up. Let's give it a triangle. Arms reach wide. Lean over that hip crease first. And then start to tip into your version of triangle. So I'm reaching for my toe. But I tell you what, I was nowhere near where I was when I first started yoga. Believe it or not, your body changes as you do this more often. And as you pay attention to form, and where you are today doesn't have to be the end of your story. It can be just the beginning. Take your time, soften that knee, Bring your chest up, and then maybe a reverse triangle feels nice. Straighten the knee and just kind of lean back. And then I want you to soften that front knee. Take your back arm to place it at your hip, your front arm to kind of push straight out in front of you. And then we're just going to take this front hand, we're going to flip it and reverse just as we did before. Then when you come back forward, I want you to straighten the arm, keep that arm on your hip, and take it back down to triangle. Almost looks like a teapot tip. This is really going to invite these hands that are on your hip to kind of slide a little bit more forward and slightly turn your pelvis towards the center. Beautiful. Soften that knee, bring it back up, and take it right into a reverse version. Back to your teapot one more time. Lean and tip. Open that hip. Now lift the hand. Do you feel any difference in your triangle? Not as long. Beautiful. Soften. Back up. This is the part when the instructor thinks in their head, okay, that was a really long series. I sure hope I can remember all that. Cartwheel all that down to the earth. Front foot steps back. There's always notes. There's always a running sequence in my head. But then sometimes there's these fun little add-ins like that teapot drill I wanted to put in there today. So hopefully I can remember everything on the other side. We're just in down dog. If you want a vinyasa, you could have it here. Maybe plank down. I'm kind of playing with a weird shoulder injury right now, so vinyasas don't work with me. So I'm honoring my body and I'm listening, and I'm realizing that that Chaturanga Dandasana doesn't work very well right now. So I'm skipping it. All right, my friends, we need to get the other foot to the front of the mat. If I can remember what the other foot is. Left foot to the front. Yes, we need a big crescent. Do you remember that? We've got the toes on the ground, front knee is bent. Our hands are up. Give a quick check of your balance. Really sink in, drop those shoulders, long back leg. Hands to the heart, and then take your twist. Let them go to the outside edge of that knee. We even kind of played here last time. Some of us dropped the back knee to the ground. Some flew open. Some took a bind. Beautiful. Hands inhale to come back to center. And then start to twist out. Warrior two. So I'm going to be facing away from you for a little bit, but I think that might help kind of see a little bit different alignment. So heel is in line with that big toe, or your instep. Just like I talked about before, these virtual classes make it kind of tricky for me to see you. Even when you're zooming live, kind of a small tile, it's hard for me to see you. So take your time, flip this hand, lean away, reverse warrior. And then just as stated before, let's take that side angle, maybe elbow drops. Pay attention to this top hand. You know that little teacup drill we ran with our triangle works here too. Bring it back up, send it away. Side angle. I don't know about you, but that sunlight is glorious today. Bring yourself back up. If you've got sun coming into your space today, relish in it. Lean forward and then take a tip. We're in that triangle. Remembering that this front hip is going to want to kind of come back into the body. That's good. We want to watch the hyperextension of this front knee. You want to be leaning front hand forward, but keeping this one up. Thinking about where we are today isn't our forever, unless we just want it to be. Take your time to soften front knee, reverse warrior, or reverse triangle rather, if that feels good to you. come back. All right, start thinking hand on the hip here. Opposite fingers reach out. Turn, lean away. Now the first one, your hand can kind of slide to your low back. Sometimes that's a really nice, fun bind. Hand can be facing outward. And then my hand stays at hip as I straighten front knee and lean over. Teapot, tip. Maybe slide that hand from up top here around to kind of open up. Watch your shoulders and your neck. Head comes back up. Reset. Now, I don't know if you're noticing it in your back foot, but I can tell I'm pushing way too hard into the pinky side of that toe. My ankle's kind of starting to bother me, so I'm adjusting my stance, bringing the foot in a little closer, making sure I'm pushing through all 4 points of the foot. One more breath. Pay attention to where your pelvis is. Beautiful. Bring that back up. Soften knee. And let's cartwheel down. Good work. Vinyasa if you want it. Hopefully I didn't forget anything. It's possible. Walk it out. Your toes feel tight. You can kind of roll them on the mat a little bit. You can lift and lower on the heels, then the knees. Small steps with the feet. Walk them forward towards your hands. Forward fold, head is heavy. Maybe your hands even wrap around the backs of the calves. Soften into that shape. Couple breaths. Inhale, bring yourself up halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reach hands tall. Exhale, hands to heart. All right, my friends, let your head and neck have a little bit of space once you hit that standing Tadasana. I'm going to turn just to face you, but you can stay whatever way you'd like. Right foot's going to take balance into the earth as your left toes start to build just a traditional tree. Really take a moment. You might even bring your hands down, just like that teapot drill, to make sure that our hips are square to the front. Then maybe even as we slide this foot up, kind of smooth out the muscles of the inner thigh on this lifted leg. And then see if you can start to bring your hands up. If you want your leg higher, you of course can help it a little higher. If you want it down lower, you can have it tap at the floor. You can turn and reach for a wall to maybe get a bigger stance than usual. And know that you have that wall there if and when you need it. But pay attention, see if you can use those hands to square the hips, find the inner thigh muscles, make connection foot to thigh, and just breathe. Beautiful work. Take your time. Foot comes down. Now the lifted leg that was in our tree, we're going to crisscross it over. The leg that's on top, that arm's going to reach over. Get a big side wall stretch here. Beautiful. Let this foot step out and wide. So if you've been at the front of your mat, just take your time, step wide. Give yourself a little hip space. Maybe shifting high here, watching knees and toes. If you want to take it even bigger, you can kind of lean and touch, or lean and squat. Perfect. Whatever you've been doing to play, take your time. Start to come back to the center. Maybe a tall spine again with those wide legs. And then we're just going to do a little foot ankle exercise, heel toeing those all the way underneath. To set for the other side. Switching legs, deciding what foot's going to be your standing foot this time. Taking hands from the hips in towards the pelvis, maybe even slide one down the inside edge of your inner thigh towards the knee just to keep the spine tall. Maybe send that other hand over to make sure our hip isn't pushing out to the side. Knowing you can always go look for that wall again, or couch, chair, whatever you have available. And then find a place of focus where your eyes can sit. Slowly starting to come down out of that big tree. Whatever leg you've had lifted, that's the leg that's going to cross. And then the same side arm is going to reach over the head. And then just as you did before, either turn on your mat or just step wide. This time stretch the arms out, make a 5-pointed star. Trying to level those arms out. Maybe turning the big toes in slightly towards one another. We're going to take our arms to what was that forearm plank. Let them hold there, nice 90s out of the shoulders. And then as you feel ready, a softening in the knees, just try to fold down, keeping those arms in that same 90. Maybe the arms straighten to touch the floor, or maybe they can still keep a gentle bend. Let your head relax, even if that means your chin kind of dangles towards your chest. Pay attention to the weight in your feet. Shift it a little bit between your heels and your toes. And then we're going to take our time. Right heel is going to turn in first, then the left. Right toes, then the left. Right heel, then the left. Now you can repeat that again if you need to, until you can put yourself into a wide knee squat. Pay attention to the awareness that each pose has been working to create. You might be in a wide knee squat. This might feel really great to you, or you might have decided you want to skip the squat today and just bring your hips to the earth. You might be reaching for a blanket or a block to be more comfortable in your squat, or sitting on a bolster even. All right, my friends, if you're looking for one more twist, you can add it in the squat. And then we're going to work to the earth. So I'm facing sideways. I'm just going to kind of walk around, testing a little bit my leg muscles' ability to do so, turning myself on the mat so I'm in a good seated position. So ideally, what is the top of my mat is now where my feet are. And I've got my blanket nearby, so I might even move it onto my mat to let it be a pillow. But before we go there, we're going to do one more little thing for the abdominals. So feet are planted, toes are lifted, spine is long, and we are finding boat pose. Now your boat might be more advanced. You might have straight legs, you might have arms offered up, but if you're like me and boat hasn't been a favorite, you can join me, hands maybe soft on the backs of the thighs or near the hips. I'm pulling through my sternum to lift as I engage my core, point through the toes. Perfect. Drop the feet down, cobbler's pose, hands reach through, fall through the middle. One breath here. Good work, my friends. Chest comes up, knees invite up. Take your right foot and just kind of step it over your left. My left knee almost looks like fire log. If you want to take fire log, you can stack ankle to knee, ankle to knee. Otherwise, just kind of hang here, sit tall. If you feel inclined to take another twist, maybe some digestive poses feel good. This live class is Monday after Halloween. So if you feel the need to twist out a little holiday celebration, feel free. Unwinding from that twist. We're just going to switch. So the leg that was standing is now laying. This knee here, tall spine. Maybe you built fire log. Maybe not. If you took the twist before and you want it again, here we go. As I continually remind you though, we always want to twist with our tallest spine, trying our best to keep it nice and lifted through the crown. All right, unwinding from that twist, feet on the earth. Hands move towards hips. Maybe you got your pillow. Maybe you want other props for Savasana, like a set of blocks under your knees or a bolster, whatever you want. Start to move back to your back. It might feel good for another cleansing pose like knees to chest. You might want another reclined twist, some happy baby, a figure four. Wherever you are today, I'm just going to let you be. So I'm going to give you about 2 or 3 little minutes to move however you want here on the mat. I don't know about you, but depending on the day, which probably more days than not, when an instructor cues me to my back, I kind of want to stop listening. I want to do my own thing, or my body just says, finally, the good stuff, what I came here for, put me in Savasana. So if your body is saying that's the good stuff, put me in Savasana, go there. If your body's still recalling, requesting, talking, telling you, twist, or knees to chest, or inversion even, whatever it might be saying, you can listen. The best news is that you didn't turn me off. You didn't hit stop or end meeting. You stayed. You made it all the way to the end of the class, and here's your reward. As the body feels ready, you might move into something more traditional for Savasana. Maybe your legs go long down the mat, both stretched. Maybe you feel better today with bent knees. Constructive rest is when you spread your feet about mat width, and then you just let your knees fall in towards the center. Maybe your hands are going to rest at your heart or on your belly. Sometimes when my low back is bothering me, a constructive rest makes more sense. You certainly can roll to rest either on your right or your left-hand side. For pregnant mamas, we always tell you to go to your left. But just let the breath be steady and slow. Let the belly rise and fall with each easy breath. Knowing that as we finish out today's class, there's nowhere else you need to be. Everything can wait. The only space and time that we are guaranteed is right now, this present moment. So let the body feel heavy. Let it rest into the earth. Muscles of the face neck, arms and legs just all begin to soften. And just let everything shift and settle back into place. Slowly starting to become aware of your breath. Allowing your inhales to deepen and your exhales. Gentle movements within the fingers and the toes. Maybe the knees take their time to come into your chest. You rock around a little bit side to side before ultimately finding yourself perhaps rested on the right-hand side, maybe even using your right arm as a pillow. But just take your time. Meet me back at a seat only when you feel ready. Palm to palm, eyes closed, spine lifted. Closing our class very similar to how we began. Our reading today is entitled, Yoga is not only about stretching your muscles, but also about the residue of awareness that comes afterward. The pose is not the yoga. Yoga is the inner state the pose creates. Pay more attention today to the state that is created by your poses. Take a quiet moment to reflect on the state that was created today by the poses. You've let everything sift, holding on to only that which matters most. Let the rest just drift away with an exhale breath. I greatly appreciate you carving out this time for yourself, not only for your physical body, but for everything else. May you have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you again. Namaste.